An old janitor walked into a downtown bank, wearing faded work clothes, holding an old leather backpack. 20 minutes later, the bank manager would publicly humiliate him, throw him out in front of dozens of people, and lose everything he had spent years building. The worst part, he believed he was humiliating an ordinary old man. 72-year-old William Harrison lived a quiet life. Every weekday morning, he arrived at Jefferson Elementary School before sunrise. He unlocked classrooms, cleaned the hallways, fixed broken desks, and greeted every child with the same smile. To everyone, he was simply Mr. William, the school's elderly janitor. Nobody knew that years earlier, William had built a successful investment company before quietly retiring. He never told anyone. He believed respect should come from character, not money. That Friday morning, he finished work a little early. He placed several important legal documents inside his old backpack, locked his pickup truck, and drove to Jefferson National Bank. He had an appointment with the branch manager. Nothing more. When William entered the bank, the lobby was busy. Customers filled every chair. Employees rushed between desks. Phones rang constantly. Near the entrance, a young receptionist smiled. "Good morning, sir. How may I help you?" William smiled back. "I have an appointment with the branch manager." She searched the computer. "May I have your name?" "William Harrison." A few seconds later, she smiled again. "Yes, Mr. Harrison. Your appointment is scheduled. Please have a seat." William thanked her and quietly sat in the waiting area. Across the lobby, someone had been watching. Branch manager Richard Collins, 42 years old, expensive tailored suit, luxury watch, perfect hairstyle. He believed successful people looked successful. And William looked like someone who didn't belong inside his bank. Richard walked toward him. Instead of introducing himself, he looked William up and down, his worn boots, his faded jacket, his old backpack. Then he spoke loudly enough for nearby customers to hear. "Sir, I think you're in the wrong place." William stood politely. "No, I have an appointment with you." Richard laughed. "With me? I seriously doubt that." William calmly handed him the appointment confirmation. Richard barely looked at it, then handed it back. "We're very busy today. If you're here asking for financial help, customer service is over there," William answered calmly. "I'm not here for financial help. I'm here for our scheduled meeting." The receptionist quietly spoke. "Sir, he really is on today's appointment list." Richard looked at her, then back at William. "I've managed this branch for 8 years. I know exactly why people come into my bank, and you don't belong in my office." The lobby slowly became quiet. Several customers looked over. William remained calm. He smiled gently, then said only one sentence. "I hope you don't judge everyone by what they're wearing." Richard smirked. "Oh, I already have." Richard folded his arms. "You know what? I don't have time for this. You can leave now." William remained standing. "I'm not causing any trouble. I'm simply waiting for our scheduled meeting." Richard let out a sarcastic laugh. "My scheduled meetings aren't with janitors." Several customers exchanged uncomfortable looks. An elderly woman quietly shook her head. William didn't react. He simply said, "Please, I only need a few minutes." Richard suddenly raised his voice. "A few minutes? Do you know how valuable my time is?" The entire lobby became silent. Everyone was now watching. The receptionist stepped forward. "Sir, maybe we should check with headquarters first." Richard glared at her. "I don't need headquarters telling me. Who belongs inside my office?" William looked at him calmly. "My appearance doesn't tell you who I am." Richard smiled. "No, But it tells me enough. He stepped closer. I've spent 20 years building my career. I know how to spot people looking for handouts. William quietly replied, "You're making a mistake." Richard laughed again. "The only mistake was letting you sit down in the first place." Several customers began recording with their phones. Even 2 bank employees looked embarrassed. William still refused to argue. Instead, he slowly reached for his backpack. "I'll wait quietly." That's all. Before he could lift it, Richard grabbed the backpack first. William instinctively reached toward it. "Please, be careful. There are important documents inside." Richard ignored him. He unzipped the backpack, then suddenly turned it upside down. Everything fell across the marble floor. Cleaning gloves, a lunchbox, an old family photograph, a folded janitor's uniform, several thick document folders. The sound echoed through the silent lobby. William slowly knelt, trying to collect his belongings. A little girl waiting with her mother quietly walked over. She picked up the old photograph. "Sir, you dropped this." William smiled warmly. "Thank you." Before she could hand it back, Richard barked across the lobby. "Emily!" The girl's mother immediately pulled her back. "Don't touch his things." The little girl looked confused. "But, Mom, he's just an old man." The mother lowered her voice. "I know." Around the lobby, people stopped pretending not to watch. Even the tellers had gone silent. William quietly picked up every item. He never complained. He never raised his voice. As he reached for one document folder, Richard picked it up first. He opened it. Property records, investment agreements, corporate legal papers. Richard laughed. "Very impressive. Did you print all these yourself?" William stood up. "They're original documents. I'd appreciate it if you returned them." Richard looked directly into William's eyes, then slowly smiled. "I don't believe a single word you've said." He gripped one document with both hands. William quietly whispered, "Please don't." Richard ignored him. Then document tore cleanly in half. The entire lobby froze. William closed his eyes, then slowly opened them again. His voice remained calm. "I truly wish you hadn't done that." The torn document slowly fell to the floor. No one moved. The entire lobby had become silent. William carefully picked up both torn pieces, smoothed them with his hands, and placed them back inside his backpack. He looked at Richard one last time. "I came here with respect. I wish you had done the same." Richard rolled his eyes. "I'm done listening." He turned toward the security desk. "Security!" 2 security guards hurried over. One was young. The other looked to be around William's age. Richard pointed toward the entrance. "Remove him." The older guard hesitated. "Sir, he hasn't threatened anyone. He hasn't broken any rules." Richard's face hardened. "I gave you an order." The older guard sighed quietly, then looked at William. "I'm sorry, sir. Would you please come with us?" William nodded. "I understand." He lifted his old backpack, adjusted the strap on his shoulder, and calmly walked toward the exit. Not once did he argue. Not once did he raise his voice. Several customers stepped aside, allowing him to pass. An elderly woman whispered, "This isn't right." A young father quietly shook his head. Another customer lowered his phone, having already recorded everything. The automatic doors opened. Outside, rain had started falling. William stopped beneath the entrance canopy. The older security guard walked beside him. "I'm truly sorry. I don't agree with what happened." William smiled gently. "I know. You treated me with respect. Thank you." The guard lowered his head. Watching William walk into the rain didn't feel like removing a troublemaker. It felt like failing a good man. Back inside, Richard straightened his expensive suit. He looked around the silent lobby, then clapped his hands once. "All right, show's over. Let's get back to serving real customers." Nobody laughed. Nobody smiled. The receptionist quietly looked down at her desk. Even Richard noticed. The atmosphere had changed. Customers weren't looking at William anymore. They were looking at him, some with disappointment, others with disgust. Just then, a deep engine sound echoed outside. Then another and another. Several employees turned toward the windows. One black luxury SUV slowly entered the parking lot. Then a second, then a third. Within seconds, 6 identical black SUVs lined up in front of the bank. Richard's expression immediately changed. His confident smile returned. "The executive team. They're early." Employees quickly adjusted their uniforms. The tellers stood straighter. Managers hurried toward the entrance. Richard smoothed his tie, checked his reflection in the glass, and smiled confidently. "They're about to see why this is the best branch in the region." Outside, William quietly stood beside his old pickup truck, holding his backpack close to his chest. The rain continued falling. He never looked back, until one of the SUV doors slowly opened, and a sharply dressed executive stepped out. Looking directly at William, the executive stepped out of the SUV. Then another, and another. Within seconds, 6 senior executives were walking toward the bank. Richard hurried outside with a confident smile. He extended his hand. "Welcome to Jefferson National Bank. It's an honor to have you here." The lead executive didn't even look at him. He walked straight past. Richard frowned. The executives continued walking until they stopped in front of William. The lead executive smiled warmly. "Good morning, Mr. Harrison. We're very sorry for keeping you waiting." Every employee froze. Richard's smile disappeared. The executive continued. "We received your message. We came as quickly as we could." William nodded politely. "I've already seen everything I needed to see." Richard slowly stepped forward. "I'm sorry. Mr. Harrison?" The lead executive turned toward Richard. His voice became firm. "You don't know who this man is?" Richard shook his head. "No one, sir." The executive looked around at everyone standing in the lobby, then calmly said, "This is William Harrison, the founder of Harrison Capital Holdings, the company that owns a controlling interest in this bank." Silence. Complete silence. Richard felt the color leave his face. His hands began to shake. He looked at William, then at the torn document still sticking out of the backpack. His voice trembled. "Mr. Harrison, I didn't know." William looked at him calmly. "No. You never asked." Richard hurried closer. "I'm deeply sorry. It was all a misunderstanding." William gently shook his head. "No, it wasn't a misunderstanding. You judged me before I spoke. You decided my worth. The moment you saw my clothes." Richard lowered his head. The executive turned toward the receptionist. "Were the lobby cameras recording?" "Yes, sir. And several customers recorded everything." The older security guard stepped forward. "I witnessed the entire incident." William finally spoke. "I don't want anyone punished. Because of who I am, I want the footage reviewed. If this manager treats everyone this way, then the company should do what is right." 3 days later, the investigation was complete. Hours of security footage were reviewed. Customer complaints were reopened. Former employees were interviewed. The results were overwhelming. This wasn't Richard's first complaint. For years, he had humiliated elderly customers, mocked working people, ignored veterans, and treated anyone who looked poor with disrespect. The board, made its decision. Richard Collins was dismissed immediately, not because he insulted William Harrison, but because his behavior had violated everything the bank claimed to stand for. The young receptionist received a promotion. The older security guard received an award for professionalism and integrity. As for William, he returned to Jefferson Elementary School the very next Monday. The children smiled as he walked through the hallway. "Good morning, Mr. William." He smiled back, picked up his mop, and continued cleaning the floor. One teacher quietly asked, "You could spend the rest of your life in luxury. Why do you still work here?" William smiled. "Because the greatest wealth isn't what people see in your bank account. It's knowing you never made another human being feel small." Years later, people forgot how expensive Richard's suit had been. They forgot the luxury cars and they forgot his title. But they never forgot the old janitor, who proved that dignity isn't something money can buy. It's something you choose to give to every person you meet. Because respect costs nothing, but losing it can cost you everything.